Why is this the most impressive SEC regular season title? That's today's tough question, and I pose it to Caleb Calhoun because that's exactly what he wrote about. Caleb, why?
This is the most impressive SEC regular season championship in the history of SEC basketball.
Whoa. And whoa,
Yes,
so you're not just saying SEC, you're saying you're not saying Tennessee, you're saying SEC?
in the history of SEC basketball. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why? Help me.
Okay, so this team, first of all, let's compare this to the last outright SEC title team that Tennessee won. That was the 2007-2008 team that ended up winning the outright regular season title. I believe, and I'm pulling it up now, and I am right. Only two teams from the SEC finished that season in the top 25. Tennessee, which was the best, and then Vanderbilt finished at number 25. By the way, Tennessee lost to Vanderbilt on the road that year. Vanderbilt on the road was the only top 25 SEC game they actually played, and they lost it. The SEC was really down that year. That was when Billy Gillispie was coaching at Kentucky. So that's all you really need to know about how the SEC was during that time. And it was after Florida had lost all their players from Billy Donovan. So Billy Donovan actually had one of his worst Florida teams. This year, the SEC is absolutely loaded with.
Loaded.
I'm sorry.
Loaded.
Like loaded with talent. I agree. I mean, Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, South Carolina, all are in the top 25 right now. And Florida is actually a fringe top 25 team. I believe they're in the top 25 of the coaches poll. That doesn't include how dangerous Arkansas is. And that doesn't include how dangerous Texas A&M was in the middle of the year. And that doesn't include how dangerous Mississippi State is. So we're talking about a very, very good, that Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, those three teams, they'd have been among the top five in the SEC in the last time Tennessee won the SEC regular season title. So that's what we're talking about here. So what happens last week? We go into last week. We start talking Tennessee basketball on Tuesday. This whole year, guys, I've only been thinking NCAA tournament. I didn't think an SEC regular season title banner was possible to hang. And I said, starting last Tuesday, I said, we looked at their schedule. We were like, they got 4 games against 4 ranked teams. The goal is to go 3-1 and have good positioning in the tournament. But then we looked at it and we said, but they have to beat Auburn, Alabama, and South Carolina, all 3 of them specifically, if they want to win the SEC regular season title. So they have played 3 straight games against 3 ranked teams that were de facto elimination games to win the SEC regular season title. The last 2 on the road, one of them against the team that beat them earlier in the year in South Carolina. They won all 3.
Okay, can I debate something with you? Hunter says SEC was loaded in 18-19 and 21-22. UT the only top 10 team this year.
Okay. 2018-2019, LSU won the regular season title that year. They were loaded that year. LSU got the break, though, by getting Tennessee at home that year. Tennessee didn't get the break of getting the closest contender at home in the SEC, because I do believe the closest contender to them was South Carolina. They had to play them twice. Okay. So they did get Auburn at home, but they're 2 games ahead of Auburn. So South Carolina was the closest contender for the SEC regular season title, and Tennessee had to face them twice. 2021, 2022, again, Tennessee had to visit Arkansas.
But I think what he's arguing is that the SEC was just as good then as it is now.
Okay, I could argue with that. I could actually get with that. That's fair. But also, again, what team had 3 straight ranked games at the end of the year, and they were told you have to win all 3 of them, 2 on the road to win the SEC regular season?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought out of this 4-game stretch, I picked them to go 3-1. If they went 2-2, I thought that Tennessee would be okay with that. Probably grab a 2 seed and be fine. Portions of the program brought to you by Boundless Moving. They're my movers. They should be yours. For their 2-hour minimum to turnkey operations, they have you covered. Their motto is personal service without limits. Not just a tagline. It's part of who they are, their DNA. So again, Boundless Moving. Absolutely love them. Go to boundlessmoving.com. boundlessmoving.com. So we did have someone ask, I know we're kind of in the moment here, but we had someone ask a preview of next year's team. Well, gosh, basketball now, you churn your entire roster. Football is about to be the same. But I don't know that next year is what most people are thinking about right this second.
Yeah, I don't think this was an all in on this year type of team. I mean, guys, there's 3 fifth-year players starting in this starting lineup. You're not going to have that next year. We'll talk about this later down the road. I don't want to talk about it right now, but we'll talk about the fact that I will say that Tennessee, this is representative of where college basketball is going. Guys, you're seeing a renaissance in college basketball of just really good team play because of guys that, because in the NIL era, guys are staying back for another year. There's a reason. You notice this? Think about this, Dave. Houston, Purdue, and Tennessee, and UConn. All 4 of them have had road top 25 games within the past week. Actually, Houston hasn't, but I think it was at UCF, which was a tough game, a solid team. But the other 3 did. All of them have won. That doesn't happen. Usually the top 3 teams, every week in college basketball, there's a top 3 team playing a road game against the top 25 team and losing, and you see fans storm the court. That happens regularly in college basketball, right?
Yes, it does. And Tennessee had every reason, because of the Alabama loss, they could still win the SEC outright with a win over Kentucky and lose to South Carolina. They had every reason to show up and play flat on.
No, they would need South Carolina to lose.
They would need South. So, but they could still win the SEC, or would they be tied for that?
If they had, so had they lost last night, both teams would have been 13-4, and had both teams won Saturday, they would have finished 14-4. However, South Carolina would have gotten the 1 seed in the SEC because they beat Tennessee twice.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I would not consider it a legitimate SEC title claim if Tennessee had lost to South Carolina and they split.
But it would have. I see what you're saying, but it would have gone down in the books as a co-champion.
Yeah, it would have gone down in the books as a co-champion.
This is way better. This is different. Portions of the program brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. There are a lot of things out there. Make sure you're taking something that's safe for your body. Go to hemphousechat.com, hemphousechat.com. Use the promo code HOOKED. That's HOOKED for 10% off. If you haven't checked out the website this morning and offthehooksports.com, we already have several pieces up there. And congratulations from Josh Heupel, Fran Fraschilla, Jimmy Dykes, all congratulated Rick Barnes. Let's face it, no matter what he does in the postseason, Rick Barnes is just likable.
Yes, Rick Barnes is a great guy.
And
I've told you.
Like the guy, I say marry your daughter, but he's too old. But the guy that you want to date your divorced mom.
Actually, I'm not going to lie. That's a really good comparison. You are right.
If my mom comes home with Rick Barnes, I'm absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, not just because of the pay he's getting from Tennessee.
Well, the pay's going to be a part of it.
The pay is a selling point.
Yeah.
Rick Barnes is the I've told you guys this a lot, and I'm serious about this. He's the David Cutcliffe or Mark Richt of college basketball, and
just good.
That's great. Here's what I always felt about David Cutcliffe and Mark Richt, and I put those two together because of this reason. I think Cutcliffe and Rick could have sacrificed a few things to maybe get a national title. Well, not Cutcliffe. He was at Duke. But like to propel his coaching career further and go somewhere else. He could have.
Like character, honestly. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Rick definitely could have at Georgia. You know this. The most important thing to them was not just developing people, but they developed the players on the field. Cutcliffe was very big on coaching and developing the talent he had and making sure they were fundamentally sound and developed for the NFL. Is that fair to say, Dave?
Yes.
Rick Barnes has always done that in college basketball. It wasn't always about winning. He wanted to develop his players who could go to the NBA. And that's why you see Rick Barnes players in the NBA are usually the most fundamentally sound, best coached players in the NBA because they were coached so well by Rick Barnes. And that's why players in the NBA who played for Barnes swear by him because he develops them so well. Grant Williams should not have been an NBA player, quite honestly.
No, he shouldn't have. I still watch him and he's not that grand. By the way, as for my mom bringing home Rick Barnes as a potential, I think they're both happily married. At least I know my mom is. Smoky Mountain Red said I would advise her not to sign a prenup. Yeah, I mean, because at that age, that could be quick money for
but mom. Get married. You got to get married. Get married
mom
fast.
For mom or Dave. I mean, we're getting up there.